And the fact that you are an economist, and you know, we are into an electioneering year, and definitely it's a year that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
And every time we get into an electioneering period like this, people say that the economy becomes so tough and it's so hard for Kenyans. You know, the cost of living has gone up. At a time like this, what does it mean to the economy?
Okay, I have to acknowledge that we are in the election year, that is 2022, the year that everybody was waiting for. But economically, I would say that sometimes it's a perception that during the election year that life becomes very hard. One of the reasons why we experience hard times during the election year is because most of the leaders whom we expect them to maybe implement our economic issues, most of their time is taken by campaigns. So from now, maybe up to August, most of the politicians are in campaign. Everybody is focusing on the election date. Yeah, so it's only few people who are left maybe by the government to implement what they had promised economically. Right. Yes.
And so far, are we doing good in terms of our economy? We are into 2022. We just, you know, 13 days into 2022.
So from the figures we are getting from the government is that our economy is improving. And the reason is most of the politicians, maybe last year, by the end of the last year, maybe the start of the year, you'll see most of the politicians trying to implement what they had promised. And the livelihood is a bit changing. So they are coming down, they are talking to people, they are implementing their manifesto so that they can be re-elected back to their offices.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the reason why maybe there is a more improvement in the economy.
Right.
Yes.
Very true. We will see how that improvement, whether if it's practical and it's evident in the lives of Kenyans, because most of them, if you tell them, and if you then give them the figures, and you say the economy is improving, and their lives seems not to change, and it's quite harder for them, they will like tell you, we don't see it being practical here at the grassroots.
Yeah.
Is it so?
Yeah, it's true. You know, through paperwork, maybe you'll have reports that the economy is growing, but practically down here, most of the people are really struggling. And life is also very hard. You know, sometimes it will depend on the measures that you are going to use to measure the economic growth. Some of the measures are not practical.
Right.
Yeah, you go down, you find it's just a few sections of Kenyans who are enjoying the economic growth, but majority of Kenyans' life is becoming hard each and every day. Yes.
Right. The biggest question now that we are asking this morning is, you know, is there a relationship between politics and economy?
Yeah, there's a very strong relationship between politics and the economy. You know, with the politics is a set of activities that are associated with the decision making. And these decisions will affect the economy because now economists will come up with they will come up with economic models and theories, but these theories and models have to be implemented politically. Right. So always you will view the economy with a political eye. Yeah, because an economist can come up with a very good model, but it becomes unpopular politically.
Right.
Yeah, because they are the political leaders who implement or who make these decisions.
Right.
Yeah.
And also the talk of the town now, it's about the election on the 2022 August polls. And it is said also that the economy of the country and how we are faring in terms of our economy can be the base at which we do our politics. Is it true also? That we can use the economy to shape up our politics?
Yeah, every election year, politicians will come up with economic models, and it becomes one of their manifestos, what they are selling to the voters. Because now, everybody now will want a political regime that will revive the economy so that it can ease the livelihood of the people. So they have to use the economy, come up with economic models so that they can convince voters to vote for them. Because now everyone will want a government that will not oppress them economically.
Right.
Yes.
If we have politicians who are watching and they are so much interested in matters about the economy and how they can improve the lives of Kenyans and improve the economy of the country at large, what will they, how would you advise them to, craft themselves in line with making sure their political agendas and the political manifestos resonates with what are the expectations of Mwananchi in terms of the economy?
Okay, Mwananchi now is expecting an economic model that will boost their livelihood, an economic model that will create jobs, an economic model that is sustainable. Is also expecting an economic model that is realistic. There are some of the models that they sell to us, or maybe to the voters, but it's hard to implement when they get into the offices.
Right.
So the voters are expecting politicians to sell to them models that are practical. Yeah, that will, a political decision that will ensure that the lives of the voters improves. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe you're following closely what we are discussing this morning here. It's quite of importance, and of course you'll agree with me, it's quite an interesting thing, particularly it touches on your life in one way or another. That is the economy of the country. And now that we are into the politics of the August 9th poll, every politician that we hear, particularly those who seem to be wanting to be president, have time and again tried to discuss about the revival and how they're set to revive the economy if they clinch power. And that's why we are discussing how is even politics related to economy and how can economy in itself shape the politics of the day. We'd like to hear from you as well. What do you feel about this topic of discussion? I know you've heard of these economic models that our leaders are trying to propel out there. Which one do you feel works best for you, and which one do you feel and you have faith in which one do you believe can, revive the economy per se if the section at which propels the idea and the model gets into power? You can do so via the number below your screen. Move to all our social media platforms. We are up and running also on Facebook Live. You can check us there. And on the comment section, you can do so by sharing your comment and also share the entire conversation with another person so as we can get to reach more people to understand what we are discussing this morning here. Morning. I want to take a short break here, but before then, there's this burning question that, to most Kenyans, they feel, let come what may. We've had leaders time and again, they've told us they will revive the economy. We elected them, and we seem little is being done about the improvements of our lives, we as Kenyans, and also we feel that this economy that is being discussed here is not working out right. Should Kenyans get to that point of saying, let whomever will be voted in, let him or her come in?
Okay, through experience, most of the Kenyans, they have undergone so many government regimes, and these politicians have been coming up with so good economic models which have not been implemented. But we should not despair.
Right.
We should not despair, because we cannot just leave this thing to maybe politicians and we assume that we are not caring. Remember, it is our lives that are being affected. So the best thing is to make good political decisions when it comes to the day of elections. So let us not just leave the issue to the politicians. Let's elect people to power, people who will revive the economy. They are there. We have resourceful people, we have resourceful leaders around who can really revive our economy. So let us be very careful during the election date. Yeah. Let us be concerned on whom we are going to elect to the office. Yeah.
Right. And when we come back, when we are talking about, electing these leaders,
yes.
And of course they have come, they have spoken to us about their different economic models. We try and discuss some with a few.
Yes.
And we, as Kenyans, we may not have the capacity to analyze, scrutinize, and understand some of these economic models and to see which one resonates well with us. Do you feel that the Mwananchi has the capability to try and understand the inner meanings of these economic models and how, you know, it can impact their lives?
Okay, most of the voters will not have that capability or maybe knowledge to understand the economic models that are being propelled by the political parties. But at the same time, you know, when you elect a leader, it becomes a representative of you. So through your leader, or the leaders that are going to elect, they can do that for us. Mm-hmm. So what they should do, they should make sure that they elect leaders who have this knowledge, elect leaders. You know, what happens, Shadrach, during the election time, there's this issue of handouts in Kenya.
Right.
Maybe some people will make noise and maybe they might confuse you that they are the right leaders to go to the office. You've seen our parliament of late, that we have some leaders who go there and they don't make any decision. Theirs is just to follow what has been decided by the party. Right. Yeah, but remember, they have a duty to work for the Kenyans, to revive the economy. You know, you cannot just destroy our country, which we have fought for, for liberation,
Right. Quite some bit of thoughts there. We cannot destroy the country just because of some mere politics. We need to use the politics positively enough so that we can impact and improve and develop our economy. That is what Mwalimu says here. Quite an economist in studio with me here, Mr. Michael Kiluma. And if you listen to him carefully, he's quite sober, but he speaks some bit of sense in relation to our topic of discussion. That is how politics, you know, affects economy and the other way around. We'll be coming back to discuss on how politics can also develop an economy. How can politics play a role in developing the economy of a country, and many more. We'll be also analyzing some of the few economic models that we have so far heard of, and how does it equate to improving the lives of the common mwananchi. That conversation also will be coming your way in our second segment of our morning discussion after this short break. So kindly, ladies and gentlemen, as we also wait to hear from you on the comment section, we are now taking a short break here. We'll be coming back with much more. Don't go too far. Is there a role of politics in economic development?
Yeah, true. There is politics determines the economy of a country. And as Ed said, there is a very strong relationship between economy and politics. One, there are political factors that will affect how the economy of a country will grow. For example, we can talk of the regime, the regime type. So it will depend with the government in place. Like we can have maybe a dictatorship kind of a government, a democratic government, a communist government. So now all these types of government will dictate on how the economy of that country will grow. For example, if I can give an example, in a democratic government, you will find that it is a government that will allow maybe small businesses to get loans and start companies. And by so doing, the economy will grow. Right. With a communist government, for example, it is a type of government that will also dictate on the pay of the workers, where maybe all the workers are paid almost the same. And that one might discourage maybe the work rate of the morale of the staff, because it should be paid depending on your work. Right. And that one might slow down the economic growth. Number two, we have political stability. If maybe a country is politically stable, it will encourage more businesses to be started in that country. And as you start businesses, remember we are talking of job creation at the same time, and we are growing the economy. We also have other factors like maybe the trade laws. These laws are made by the politicians. They are made by our leaders in the parliament. So it will depend on the trade laws and the policies that the government will come up with, both national laws and also internationally. Like, for example, we can talk of tariffs. When we talk of imports and exports, we can talk of all the laws that will govern the business of a country. And by so doing, it will depend with the laws that the government will come up with. Some will favor businesses, others will not favor businesses. And we also have, we cannot forget to talk about the level of corruption. So it will also depend with the country, with the government in place. If it is a corrupt government, we'll have cases of, for example, maybe a company trying to bribe the government to phase out their competitors so that they can be in the market alone. And such factors, or maybe the examples I'm highlighting, they will also hinder economic growth. So I'm saying politics has a big role in economic growth.
Right.
Yes.
Very true. And listening to you carefully with some of the few roles that you've just mentioned here, you've named of two, that is, I want us to expound on. Number one, you've mentioned of political stability here. And it's quite key, particularly during a time like which we are in, that is electioneering period. And every single time we have an election, there has been a lot of, talks about having, we should not engage into fights and chaos. We should try and bring the political stability after and before the general election, which will go hand in hand with, inviting investors so as we can create employment and improve the economy. At the moment now, Mwalimu, can you see it, do we have the current political stability that we enjoy? Do you think we'll continue enjoying the same after the polls?
Yeah, we have seen the government taking measures. Every time maybe a political leader alters words that might lead to maybe political instability or maybe incitement to people, the government is taking measures. And those measures are encouraging because they are giving us an assurance that as we move forward, the country will remain politically stable. Mm-hmm. Remember, our investors are also watching. And it is a time like this that the foreign investors who have invested in our country, sometimes they close their businesses and flee back to their countries, worried about our political stability during the election year. So it is very important that we maintain political stability because it will affect the economy of our country. Every time or every year we have elections, we experience what we call an economic recess. Right. Our economy will go down at such times because even the small businesses, shops, retail shops, they will close their businesses during that time. But when we assure them that there will be peace, there will be security at that time, we'll do our politics at the same time maintain our economic growth. Right. Yeah.
So you're optimistic, like, we'll continue enjoying the political stability and things will be all right?
Yeah, the measures the government is taking right now, I'm very optimistic that elections will come and go.
Right.
Yes.
Very true. And the second point, of course, you had mentioned is about lawmaking in terms of laws that improve and develop the economy. And you did mention quite a number. And also looking at whatever is happening within our political front, yes. They are also saying that we will come up with laws that can revive, the ability to do business, how to, set up the tariffs and the issues you're mentioning here about trade. At the moment, do we have laws that, of course, are favorable in the improvement of the economy, and how do you think also we can improve on them?
Okay, we have some laws that are favoring the business sector, although we need to do some improvement in some, because all businesses, they are guided by the policies that the government will come up with. So if government comes up with a policy that does not favor businesses, right. Then automatically that one will lead to a decline in economic growth. Right. So we have some laws that need to be rechecked, and it is the role now of the political section to do that, so that they can revive the businesses. Right. Like now, most of the policies or maybe the laws that the government has come up with, they are based on COVID-19, and most of the businesses have been affected. But I think it is now time we agree that the pandemic is with us, and we relieve our people and also release some of the laws that have been put in place, so that now we can see our businesses now coming back to light.
Right.
Yes.
Very true. And of course, on that part of the laws, we will see how things go by once they get into power, and the new members of parliament will try and revive them. But on that side of the laws, and I want you to speak to Kenyans, particularly touching on that side of the laws. You know, you like you mentioned, the laws at which they are brought will determine how we are doing business and how we do our trade. And we have leaders who have, you know, tried and explain some of these rules that are the laws that are gonna come in, the likes of, you know, improving, coming up with a law that can, you know, subsidize the ability to get the licensing of doing businesses. How should Kenyans begin in terms of choosing the right leaders in line with those who can come up with favorable laws that can help them, you know, improve their lives?
Okay, before we go to the ballot, before you decide on the political leader that you are going to elect, we should scrutinize these leaders. We should vet them. Because now, sometimes we elect leaders to parliament, leaders who don't have knowledge about what happens there. Leaders who don't know how maybe to pass the bills. They don't know the laws that will favor their people they are representing in the parliament. And of course, these leaders should be knowledgeable, should be people who are educated enough to understand these bills. Not just voting for bills in the parliament because they have been brought and maybe your political party leader has advised you to vote. You know, once you are elected into the parliament, you represent your people and you know the problems that are affecting maybe your people. And you should only pass those laws that will favor your people. So they are very key, and also they determine the kind of economy we'll have after maybe August 2nd.
Right.
Yeah, we should elect leaders who have knowledge. Yes.
True. Right. Now, allow me to take another short break here, but when we come back, we are now dealing with the elephants in the room.
Yes.
Talking about the bottom-up economic model. Talking up the other side of the Azimio side, which are also coming up with their kind of models, trying to strategize on how they can improve and develop the economy going forward. Should we go for the bottom-up one, or should we go for the 6,000 thing? You know, there's so much that is coming on. We also have those who have come in and said they'll come up with laws to ensure that there is adequate, you know, pumping of monies to SMEs to improve on the different businesses that people are doing. We'll be trying to look at them also in a bit here, ladies and gentlemen. But what we are talking about is how the economic talk shapes the politics. And right now we are into the electioneering period, and so much is being spoken about the relationship between politics and economy. And there is that need for you to understand this kind of relationship even before you get into the ballot to choose that leader that you want to choose. And that is what we are discussing here together with the help of my guest, Mr. Michael Kiluma, who understands matters about economy, and simply because he is an economist in his own capacity, and he has been talking about these issues for quite a long time, and he has a vast experience in matters about, you know, economy of the country. That was what we are discussing here. But we are now taking another short break. When we come back, we'll be looking at some of these economic models that have come in, and also how they are practical, whether if they're practical, and which one is likely to revive the economy, so to speak. We're taking a short break. We'll be coming back in a moment. Don't go too far. According to you, in your capacity as an economist, how do you view bottom-up?
Okay, bottom-up economic model, from the way they are putting it, is an economic model where they want to empower the ordinary Kenyan from the bottom. They empower their businesses. They make sure that they are able to earn at the low level. And with trickle down, although you have not asked about the same,
Right.
It is also an economic model that is concerned about the ordinary Kenyan. So the two economic models, according to me, all of them, they are concerned about the local Kenyan or the ordinary Kenyan.
Right.
So when we put either of these two governments or parties in government, so long as it is an economic model that is concerned about the ordinary Kenyan,
right,
then that becomes the right economic model.
Which one is easier to revive the economy so quickly?
Okay,
which model is easier?
According to me, although I should not be mistaken politically, I should not be mistaken politically,
right,
with the bottom-up economic model, if implemented the way it is, according to me, is the best economic model.
Right.
Yeah, because it is more concerned about the ordinary Kenyan. But with economics, as I've said in our last session, is that you can come up with a good economic model, but it loses political popularity.
Right.
So now it will depend on which side of political inclination you are in.
Right.
But both, when you read the models, all of them, they are concerned about the ordinary Kenyan. Yeah, they can revive the economy if implemented. Yes.
Right. And finishing on the bottom up there, people are mentioning and saying that if we implement the bottom up, there will be money everywhere, and of course that one will hurt the economy in some bit of sense.
Yeah, you see, when we have a lot of money in circulation, that one can also trigger what we call inflation. It will cause what we call demand pull inflation. Everybody, if has money today, you will find that they will have what we call purchasing power, and the demand for commodities will rise.
Right.
If that raises, then automatically the prices will rise. So it will be of no sense if we pump in more money. And Shadrach, if you don't know, one characteristics of money is scarcity. Money should be scarce.
Scarce.
Yeah, so anytime you don't have money, it is a character of money.
Right.
Yes.
Very true. And also coming to the other side, they have mentioned about something that most people are speaking, that of course resonates also with hurting the economy in one way or another.
Yes.
I don't know how, that's why I want to understand it from you. It says that every single month we will be given 6,000 for those of those who feel that they are unemployed. To every household will get 6,000. It's, I don't know, social protection, I don't know, something like that. According to you, is it a form of a handout type of economic model or what?
That one is done politically. Economically, we should empower these people. We should create jobs for them. Because now giving out 6,000 every month, we do not offer solutions. The best thing is to create jobs for these young people. Yeah, let's revive our economy. Let's make sure that we have a conducive, business environment where everybody can come up with a business. Now, giving out money to people economically, it will not be the right way to offer solutions to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Very true. Now, I'll be coming back, Mwalimu, to finish on you, but allow me to touch, read some few comments here. He says, I'm Martin Mwendwa, getting you very loud and clear from Likoni. Say hi to my learned friend Mike. How do we solve cases of inflation since the cost of living is high at the moment and it has occurred frequently some months before election based on physical and monetary policies? How do we answer that, Mwalimu?
Okay, thank you, Martin. I know him. Yeah, there are tools that can be used by the government to solve the case of inflation. Right. He has touched on two. That is a physical policy and the monetary policy. Monetary policy can be done through government institutions like CBK, whereby they control the supply of money in the economy. That one can be done in so many ways. Like one, and the aim should be to get money out much money in circulation from the economy. Because when you have too much money in the economy, then we'll have so much money chasing few commodities. So now, through physical policy, government can solve inflation and also the monetary policies. So when you talk of physical policy, these are policies like maybe looking at the tax system of the country. So government can have what we call deliberate moves maybe to tap out money in the economy, or maybe to increase production in the economy, yeah, through those major two ways of solving inflation.
Right.
Yes.
Very true. Some bit of thoughts there, and it sounds so complex and has some bit of technicality in terms of the economy. But of course, we believe that Kenyans are listening and are getting what we are speaking here. Still on comments, and somebody says, if all Kenyans could see voting differently, then they could vote rightfully.
True.
Mwalimu, Kenyans, do we know, are we used to voting and we just do it as an exercise, a normal procedure, and we are done with it? And it's high time we should see it differently. Yeah,
you know, during the election date, most of the people make decisions at that time. And these decisions, sometimes they are based on handouts. Maybe they are based on the wave, that this is our person. But you forget that you will be responsible for formulating policies that will affect your livelihood. So we should not vote carelessly. We should take time to decide. Like now, we have all the time from January to August to decide on which leaders to elect. But the challenge that we have in is there are only few people who reason that way. Yeah, and you see, with elections, it's majority who win. Yes.
So we should not go with the wave.
No, we should not go with the wave.
We should critically think and analyze issues.
Yeah, the right person who will represent us.
Right.
Yes.
Somebody says all regimes come with their models, and they come and go, so Kenya remains. That's a good comment. And also another says, I'm happy for the show, it's quite insightful. Thanks so much for viewing. All right. Those are some of the few feedbacks that I'm seeing here, courtesy of the number below, as well as on Facebook. Remember that conversation is streaming live as we also approach the tail end of it. But Mwalimu, as we finish, I want you to watch that camera. And we have Kenyans who think these kind of discussions do not make sense to them in any way. They just say, okay, let's wait for 9th poll, let's choose whomever we want to choose, and life goes on. But in the real sense, whoever will come in as president, as governor, as a senator, will determine the way and the direction at which our economy is going to take. Talk to Kenyans, Mwalimu, and assure them of, make them feel they have a role to play in choosing the right politicians, as well as who will in line also make sure that we have a good economy going forward.
Okay, thank you. I will say that our lives after 2nd August 2022 will be much determined by the political leaders that we are going to put in place or in the office. So if we elect politicians based on waves, or maybe politicians based on maybe the noises they make around, that one will affect our lives from 2nd August moving forward. Again, let us participate in politics by choosing the right leaders, because these leaders will be responsible for formulating policies, coming up with the laws, and these laws will affect our lives and our livelihood going forward. Not all solutions will be solved by prayers, but we need to make a decision, because now we cannot elect the wrong person, and remember this person will be there for 5 years, representing us, coming up with the policies, formulating or coming up with the laws, which will also affect us. So whoever we elect to go to parliament or to represent us in any leadership position will determine how our lives will be. Either our life will be hard or maybe somehow easy. Yes.
Right.